Welcome back to the channel and this workshop improvement mini-series. Up to this point I've managed to make some pretty big improvements in my workshop. In today's video, it's new tool day, and that's always a good day. This is the Lumberjack 1500 watt variable speed benchtop router table with integrated motor, or the RT1500 for short. Now I just want to say for transparency that I didn't pay full price for this item. Lumberjack contacted me after seeing a couple of the other videos that I'd done on some other of their tools, all of which I'd bought from them. Now this has been something that's been on my to get list for some time now, and after being impressed with the other tools that I've bought from Lumberjack, it made full sense to get one from them. Now Lumberjack haven't asked me to make a specific video or anything, so anything that I'll be saying in this video is exactly what I think. Now this isn't really your usual type of router table. Most router tables are designed to be built into your workbench, or sometimes people integrating them with other tools such as putting them in the outfeed of a table saw, for instance. Since I've got such a tiny workshop, I don't actually have very much bench space in here, and there's definitely not enough space to build a router table into this bench. So this being a benchtop solution, or realistically potentially being used outside or on the floor, it just made perfect sense for me. Also, the fact that this has got the actual router motor built into it just made so much more sense to me. Now I've got a small trim router and a larger plunge router, but having to insert one of those into a router table and then take it out for freehand use just didn't seem like a good use of time. I think realistically, if you make yourself a router table or buy a table that's designed for putting a separate router in, once that's in there, it's staying. So this way I've got my router table, I've got my large plunge router for bigger jobs, and then for small little roundovers of stuff, I've still got my little trim router. I wasn't actually sure how good the build quality of this was going to be because it's always hard to tell just from photos. And at a cost of less than £200, including the motor, you're getting quite a lot of gear here for your money. When I opened this though, I was actually really pleasantly surprised at how decently built it is. It's actually pretty solid. I definitely feel like the photos on the website do probably slightly undersell this. I think it is more of a solid unit than it looks in the pictures. The table and the main fence are both made of pressed steel, and these are really solid. And then the rest of the components are made up of a pretty tough plastic. Ironically though, that being said, one of the legs did arrive damaged, but the box had quite a sizable hole in it, which I only noticed after the delivery driver conveniently placed it facing away from me, so I think this is probably being dropped and damaged in transit. I emailed Lumberjack to let them know what had happened, sent them a few photos, and the next day a replacement leg was delivered. So fair play to them for that. It's actually the first time that I've had to use their customer service, but I have actually heard of a few other people saying that they've had really good experiences with them. Swapping the leg was nice and simple. It just needed to loosen a few screws, swap it over, and then tighten them back up. The general assembly of this is pretty quick and easy. It doesn't come in loads of parts. The main unit's already built. You just need to attach the fence, although this can obviously be used without the fence, but if you don't get the dust extraction that way. More on that shortly. Then there are a few feather boards which attach, and it also comes with a mitre fence, but I don't really see myself using that very much. Now I haven't used this router table a lot of times yet, but what I am looking forward to doing is trying it out using some router bits that are more suited to a router table than a handheld router, such as lock and mitre cutters or tongue and groove bits. Now the first thing I did notice when using this was how impressive that the dust extraction is. It comes with this fence and then the dust port just behind the fence, meaning that any chips are sucked and taken away by the dust extraction. But it also comes with this dust cover, which at first glance I thought was just a safety feature to protect your eyes from chips coming out. But in actual fact, it pretty much supercharges the dust extraction, preventing basically anything from coming out at the front of the machine. Now it's angled at both ends so that it lifts and lowers as you push your workpiece through. And to be honest, even though it doesn't really look like much, it's actually a really well designed addition and definitely one I'm going to be using as often as I can. Obviously there's going to be times that you don't use this, but with this being transparent, you can still see your cutter through this dust hood. I'll do a quick comparison of doing 3 similar passes on some timber, firstly using no extraction, then using extraction without the cover, and then finally with the cover to compare the results. So I've just got a piece of pallet wood here, nice and splintery to exaggerate the results. I'm just going to do a pass on this with no dust extraction at all, and then I'll show you how much dust comes out. So as you can see now, there's loads that have gone into the fence. You've got a little bit on the table in general, but if you look around the workbench, you've got loads that's gone down there on the workbench, all the way around the base. All underneath's pretty covered around that side, and if you look at the back, loads of dust is just blowing everywhere. So I'm going to vac all that up and then we'll compare it using the dust extractor. So as you can hear, that's a dust extractor on. So let's do another pass on the other side with dust extraction. As you can see, there's hardly any on the table. There's less down this side, reasonable amount underneath, and again, it's flown out to the back. So I'll vac that up, and then I'll do it with the dust cover down as well. So this is dust extraction and the dust port and the dust hood down. So as you can see, there's basically nothing again on the table. Nothing around there. Couple of little bits down this side. Couple of bits on the bottom and a couple of bits on the back, but it's definitely a significant improvement. And again, that's on probably the splinteriest, dustiest wood that you could use it on. So yeah, definitely worth using the dust extraction on this. If you're used to using a handheld router without any dust extraction, the amount of chips and dust that you make using a router is insane. So having this is an absolute game changer. So in terms of general use, the router table comes with a 1/2 and a 1/4 inch collet. This was ideal for me because I've got both sizes of router bits, so I can use them both by swapping in between the two. The bits are easy to change with the included spanner. You just raise the cutter up using this wheel, then lock the spindle using this button so that you can use the spanner on the nut. Pretty standard, but it works well. A quick release would have been nice, but there's no way at this price point that you could expect one. It comes with router bit holders in the legs, which is a nice feature, although I'm yet to try these out as most of my router bits are in boxes. I might keep some of my most used router bits in here though, like a chamfer or a roundover. And you can see you've got the different size for the different size router bits. The router motor itself is decently powerful at 1500 watts. Slightly less powerful than my big plunge router, but a lot more powerful than my small trim router. It's got adjustable speeds from 1 to 6, but to be honest, most of the time I'll just run this on full speed. It is nice to have the adjustable speed though for different materials. It's one of the things I dislike the most about my small trim router. It's just got one speed, so it does feel a little bit sketchy at times. These featherboards are a nice touch. Never actually used them before, but having these set in place just gives you that nice feeling of not having the chance of kickback. It's just a nice little security feature, and it just makes running boards through this just a lot more comfortable. The machine's got a built-in MVR switch, which basically means if you lose power to it whilst using it and then walk away, if the power comes back on, the machine's going to be remained powered off. Pretty standard, but a very useful safety feature. It's also got this quick stop button on the front, which is very handy because you can just stop the machine without looking at it. That's one thing that I wish my table saw had, so that I could just stop that without looking, just reach down, turn it off, rather than having to reach down and find the button. It's something that Lumberjack build into all of their Pro Series tools as well, so that you can just instantly stop something. Just pretty simple, but really effective. Now I will end up doing a proper review of this machine once I've put it through its paces. But it's definitely one that I can't wait to try out properly, and I should be able to make a few things that I've never been able to make before. I can see this getting a lot of use in future for making stuff like shaker doors and different joints. I've already ordered a locking mitre joint, so I'm looking forward to trying that out. Anyway, this is a really nice improvement I've been able to add to the workshop, and that means we're now getting pretty close to the end of this mini-series. So the tiny workshop tour is going to be coming very soon. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that or any other future videos. The goal for 2025 is to try and hit 10,000 subscribers, so any new subscriptions will massively help that. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.